Hello, this really is an odd time for an All-Ireland quarter-final, and yet here we are early on a Saturday, knowing that in Championship hurling 6 will become 4 sometime between mid to late afternoon.
Our ultimate goal is an All-Ireland, there's no point in saying otherwise.
In hurling, it just throws up surprises, and we could easily be on the beer on Saturday evening forgetting about the championship, or you could be fighting to live another day.
Cork supporters will always back you, like, they're 16 men really, like.
Anyone who's left in the competition now is serious teams this time of year. There's no such handy games now.
We're under no illusions. The challenge that's ahead of us, and look, that's what you get when you're down to the last 6 in the country. I suppose putting things right is probably the biggest thing for us.
You just don't know when this thing's going to end, and it could end on any given moment, so you have to enjoy it. We're really loving where we are at the moment.
'Cause you and I, we were born to die.
Here's a chance. Remarkable. Oh, my word. Incredible. Cody, goal.
Oh, that's a wonderful goal by Conor McDonald.
The terraces here are bouncing and the Dubs are starting to sing.
Connolly's going for a hat-trick. Now that's class.
And you can really sense that do-or-die air.
What a couple of weeks it must have been for the hurlers of Dublin. All the promise shown in the build-up to a provincial final blown out of the water within minutes. That, though, was 2 weeks ago. This is now. And the Dublin team that failed to show up at Croke Park have a chance at redemption in Semple Stadium. But their task is far from easy. There is a feeling Cork have been waiting in the long grass. Pat Ryan was critical of their performance against Offaly 7 days ago. But maybe that's just the kick they needed after a 4-week break. Dublin against Cork is the first All-Ireland quarter-final of 2024. And it's followed by Clare against Wexford at 3:15. Both, of course, played to a finish today. Anthony, Ursula and Shane are here for the day, and we are going to be mainly talking about hurling, but unfortunately we can't get away from what everybody's been talking about this week, and that is the way the All-Ireland quarter-finals have fallen, the fact that we have the first one on at 1:15 on Saturday as well. Now, there are so many layers to this story, it's actually just impossible to take you through them all, so let's try to start with some basics. So Ursula, what we do know is that the fixtures have been like this and set in stone from months ago. We've known what the broadcast slots available are, which is the reason why it was so early on a Saturday, and we do know then that there was a late push from the president of the GAA to have a switch with the Tailteann Cup semi-finals, which are taking place in Croke Park, tomorrow, and that a vote took place last Sunday and it narrowly avoided the change. Wexford also have failure. So we have this, and they did say, they alerted back at the end of May that this was a potential issue that was coming down the line. Do you feel aggrieved?
Without a doubt, Wexford are disgruntled, they're frustrated, they're annoyed, because hosting the Féile is a huge deal for Wexford. They take great honour and pride. I played in Féile back in the day, many moons ago, won 2 Féile All-Irelands, and as a kid, you absolutely love that competition. And Wexford, you have spent months and months preparing for it. They have so many teams coming there today, so many volunteers. I feel like it is very unfair, because, like, the kids, they're the future, the grassroots of our game. And it's like, again, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And so many Wexford supporters are denied a chance to come here today. Wexford don't get to quarterfinals every single year. It's a big deal for Wexford here today. We have a huge game coming up against Clare in a couple of hours' time. And so many Wexford fans had to decide, were they staying home to, you know, help out with Féile or watch their kids play Féile. But it's the development of that underage kids that they want to see their heroes play in person, and they don't get the chance. And I suppose Wexford, to be fair, I think have handled this situation in the most respectful way possible. Once they knew they were 3rd place in Leinster, you know, they acted on that immediately. You know, our county board, you know, wrote a letter, you know, that we were going to have Féile today, and it's just a mess, really.
I should point out at this stage that the reason the vote was taken so late on was because the GAA had promised to Leinster that should they be the home team for URC final, that Croke Park would be them. The semi-finals only took place last week, which means they didn't know whether or not Croke Park, which must host the Tailteann Cup semi-finals, that is part of an agreement for that, they didn't know if it was going to be available or not on the Saturday until the URC semi-finals last week. From a Clare perspective, there have been different things said about Clare's role in all of this. It had been suggested earlier on in the week that they had initially suggested to the president of the GAA that they would have no objections to the fixtures being switched, and then when the vote came, that they in fact voted against that.
Yeah, well, that's the first I heard now that Clare had said, because I know that first meeting, it was the Monday night after the Munster final, so it's been hard enough to be there, but it was to do with structures for next year. And I think our representatives completely stood up and said playing a National League final out here on the 6th of April in the dark was not conducive to promoting hurling. National League final, secondary competition, and also then that the quarterfinals were going to be down for a Saturday. So could we look at this for 2025? Joanne, was that actually firmly what I've heard our delegates believe leaving the meeting? And maybe it was broached with some members. The first I've heard of is since I came into this studio here, that there was a definite somebody in the Clare GAA.
What we heard was an informal asking, how would you feel, and we're told no objection.
Well, all I know is that when the first meeting was taking place, our management were meeting, so that's Brian Lohan and his team around him, and they took a big decision for Brian, really, because Brian would train 7 nights a week as a manager and as a player. Took a decision they needed a break from each other, get away from each other until the following Saturday, and they would have trained on the Saturday with a view to simulating what's going to be on here today, the schedule, everything else. And they wanted to go ahead with the figure. And like, you know, I think we all saw Tom Parsons on the news last night, the GPA voted against it. 8 teams involved. On the 27th day of May, the Tailteann Cup hadn't even gone past. The last round game had to be played. No one in the Tailteann Cup would have been complaining about playing today. Why do people think that Clare would want to give Wexford an edge coming here today? That they're, we're blackguarding them, they can't see failing the game?
Just from the Tailteann Cup point of view, it was part of an agreement when it came in that it was to be given on a Sunday. It was, so actually that is one of the extra complications, that it is to be on a Sunday.
Yeah, I doubt if they approached maybe the 16 teams left at that stage and said, look, it'll be on Croke Park live TV. Okay, now we're after bringing a rugby game. Like, what do we want to bring in? Do we want everything to be ahead of us? I know the Euros are on and it's massive, and we're looking at you there discussing the Polish back four and stuff like that every day. It's great. But look, I just think, at what stage is the Aviva not good enough for a UFC final? What's it called? URC,
just if we can go back to, because obviously Donal Logue raised the issue of not giving oxygen to hurling. What about hurling counties? You're explaining why Brian Lohan from the Clare hurling team, why he didn't want it, because he had his plans all in place. But if you're talking about hurling as a sport needing oxygen, and hurling counties were given the option, if they wanted, they could play it on the Sunday, but it would affect plans like that.
At the last minute, Joy. 7 months ago, these fixtures were made. Fela, I'd say 3 years in the planning at least.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I mean, and we find ourselves here, you know, discussing this, and decisions try to be made at the darkest hour. So it's ridiculous, like.
But understandably, I suppose you're saying that the prime time slot was Sunday in the afternoon, and Cork, Dublin and Wexford were all in favour of that. So you can understand maybe the narrative out there is, why wouldn't Clare go with that? Because we're considering that we're looking to promote the game. Because promoting the game is very hard at 1:15 on a Saturday. When I hear that Cork and Dublin have underage club matches on, like, there's so many layers to this, it's unbelievable. You could talk about it all day long, and we've 2 brilliant matches to look forward to.
Shane, we'll give the final word to you to attempt to sum it all up. Is hurling, never mind the GAA as a whole, never mind everybody else, is hurling and hurling people, are they even doing enough to do the right thing for the sport?
But you're clearly not. I mean, everybody seems to know that, and there's no point in going into, like, we've all spoken at length now over the last couple of years about what hurling should be getting, and is it getting enough oxygen, to use the word that Donal Logue uses? It's absolutely not. To go back to Dale's point, and I will give Clare people credit when they deserve it. If I'm Brian Lohan and I'm sitting down at home, yeah, imagine it, right, and I'm sitting down at home and I've been asked, will you change a game to Sunday? With the greatest respect, Brian Lohan doesn't care about Fela, he doesn't care about Wexford, he cares about nothing, only the Clare senior hurling team. And he's under enough pressure as it is. And he's going to do what he deems right for his team, and it's up to everybody else outside the GAA to do what's best for the GAA, and not Brian Lohan.
OK, we're done with talking about fixtures and broadcast slots. We're going to talk about hurling for the next little while. And we'll begin our build-up to the first of today's quarterfinals by hearing from the 2 managers involved. That is this man here of Cork. It's Pat Ryan, and leading the Dubs, Micheál Donoghue. They've been speaking with Clara Hester.
It's never easy to lose a final, but maybe to lose it in the manner that you did. How important is it to focus on the mental resilience as well as the physical and tactical stuff in the meantime?
Yeah, but look, it's all on the journey, isn't it? And it's an experience. You know, we've said many times this is a young team, and the more often they play in big, meaningful games, that's where they're going to get valuable experience. And you know, the harsh lesson the last day, but as I said, the lads have applied themselves, worked really hard on the training ground, and right now we're just looking forward to getting the game going.
Cork had a test last week against Offaly. What sort of a response are you expecting from them today?
Look, I think their last few games they've gained massive momentum, but look, when you get to this stage of the championship, you're very mindful and respectful of the opposition, but you're very much focused on ourselves, and that's what we are today.
Pat, you came away with the win last week against Offaly. It was 9 points in the end, but that probably wasn't reflective of the game. You were clearly not happy after the day.
Yeah, look, a bit disappointed with our attitude last day, but look, obviously we were a couple of weeks off, and looking for Offaly brought a fierce intensity to the game, but look, we feel we're ready to go today.
What were your main areas of concern to work on after that game coming into today?
Just consistency across the 70 minutes of our performance. I thought we got a couple of good scores and kind of went ahead of them, and then just took our foot off the pedal a bit instead of being clinical and being a bit more ruthless than what we need to be. But look, we'll have to be all that today to beat Dublin, a very good Dublin side.
Carl Lahan was given man of the match that day, but he's lost out again today to Seamie Harnedy. How important is a tough test like that to entice lads to keep fighting for their jerseys?
Yeah, look, we've a huge squad and very competitive squad. You know, we've 36, 37 players involved in it, and look, it's hard to keep everybody happy, but look, in fairness, look, Seamus was always going to come back in. Huge player for us and huge player for Cork over the last couple of years.
It's a huge day indeed for both Cork and Dublin, and the buzz around Thurles. I think people are not coming for lunch or dinner, but indeed for breakfast. But right here, there is a wonderful atmosphere. I'm joined by Michael Dignan, who'll be doing the commentary with me today in this All-Ireland hurling quarter-final. I felt Cork had found their mojo in Munster, but they conceded 3-19 to your guys in Tullamore last weekend, and Dublin got an awful hammering from Kilkenny. So where are we with these two teams?
Well, look, on form, you'd have to say Cork are hot favourites. They're putting up huge scores. I know they did concede that. They scored 328 against Limerick in that great win. They scored 430 against Tip. So they're putting up massive scores, and Dublin have to recover from that hammering. So you'd have to say everything points towards the Cork win.
And what about Dublin? Can they recover?
I think the big thing for them today is their game management. You know, at the last day, they left Richie Reid free. They left Adrian Mullen just went walkabout in Croke Park, scored 6 points in the first half. It was only in the second half they picked him up. So they're going to have to react much quicker to Cork's moves if they want to have any chance.
So let's take a look at the Dublin team, because there are changes. It's a Dublin team that faces its biggest challenge ever. Donald Burke is a superb hurler, but others will have to step up this afternoon and show leadership, like the experienced Danny Sutcliffe and Sean Curry. The defence will have to improve dramatically after conceding 328 to Kilkenny, but Owen O'Donnell and Chris Crummy have shown their class. There are 4 changes on the Dublin team, including the entire full forward line. Dara Gray comes into the defence, but Dara Power, Mark Rogan and Paul Crummy start in the attack. And on the bench, Fergal Whiteley, Dara Purcell, Ronan Hayes, Jake Malone all have the talent to make an impact. And right now, of course, that's the Dublin team. But Cork, there are changes coming there. They're going to be missing Robert Downey. Kieran Joyce going back to centre back. We'll do the graphic in just a moment.
Yeah, well, look, Rob Downey's out with illness, but Kieran Joyce probably, maybe arguably a better centre back, even though Rob Downey's been doing brilliantly.
Done very well.
Luke Meade coming in, but he is a loss. But it's really their experienced leaders, I think, really have led this Cork. Like Seamus Harnedy, he missed the game against Offaly, but he is the heartbeat of that team, the ball winning ability in the half-forward line. And Patrick Horgan, I think he's 10 points behind TJ now in the overall top scorer of all time, but he has been playing absolutely brilliantly as well. I think the two of them are leading the charge. They want an All-Ireland medal before they retire.
Well, we look forward to this match. Let's take a look at the Cork hurling team now, because there are 2 changes there as well. Cork centre-back Robert Downey from Glen Rovers is out, as Michael said, through illness. And Kieran Joyce has moved back from midfield to his traditional centre-back role. Luke Meade now joins Dara Fitzgibbon in the middle of the field. Patrick Horgan, Alan Connolly, Brian Hayes are an impressive inside line, while further out Declan Dalton, Shane Barrett and Seamus Harnedy are on fire at the moment. Looking at numbers 16 to 26, Cork looks strong. Tommy O'Connell, Shane Kingston and Robbie O'Flynn offering great options to the Cork management. So right now, here we are in Semple Stadium, Thurles. There isn't a puff of wind, there is no sunshine, it's warm, there's no rain. We're looking forward to a great game of hurling. Let me put you on the spot, Michael Dignan. Cork or Dublin for a semi-final?
I think Cork will do it, John.
Michael Dignan says Cork are going to do it. We look forward to a good game. From us here on the pitch, it's back to you in the studio, Joanne.
And you would imagine if they are going to do it, as is always the case with Cork, it comes down to goals and the threat that they offer. offer up there.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's one of their major strengths this year. You know, in 5 games they've scored 15 goals, and there's no doubt about it. There's a huge scoring threat up front. You know, even Darragh Fitzgibbon midfield, he's having one of his best years ever. But it's that little bit of a ruthless streak in him this year, that they're winning the dirty ball, winning primary possession, definitely brilliant at getting the breaks off their own puck out. Shane Barrett does brilliant here for Harnedy, and we see almost immediately a few minutes later the same thing happening again. You know, winning that aerial ball, and the runner and the support play is really, really impressive. And he, you know, has the confidence then to shoot for goals. Again here, Shane Barrett, who's really, really on form on the half-forward line this year, uses all his pace, and that's something that Cork have in abundance. But Alan Connolly, you know, who's been a goal machine this year, 3 hat-tricks in 3 different games, and you know, he's so forceful and strong going forward. He's almost unstoppable when he has the ball. But it's also the work rate, you know, dispossessing tip here as well, and applying that pressure, and that's what Pat Ryan will want from them today. Connolly himself, you know, had a quiet day the last day. I expect a big game from him. You know, the one worry, I suppose, is that they're scoring all these goals. They've scored more goals than anyone left in the championship, but they're also leaking so many scores, and that's the, you know, if Connolly and the likes of Horgan and Brian Hayes and these guys are not getting the goals today, the scores could dry up, you know. And I think Shane will be talking about defensively, you know, the flip side of it, really.
What's with him, Joanne, just all of a sudden now he's a massive name from at the start of the year. Would he be fit? We've all known about him, but he's 3 hat-tricks scored this year and comes in now for more attention than he's used to. And I think Offaly in particular, we saw a few clips, you know, here and there.
And he's coming up against probably one of the best full-backs in the game, you know, Owen O'Donnell, who probably would have been disappointed with his performance in the Leinster final too. So I think that battle is going to be one to watch.
Shane, 3 hat-tricks in one season. How many hat-tricks did you get in your entire intercounty career?
Yeah. No, I never matched that, unfortunately.
A couple of hat-tricks gone in and you're back to goal.
I never conceded a hat-trick, no.
Pat Ryan mentioned it there, Ursula mentioned it, the number of goals they are leaking in at the back.
It's not just goals, it's scores in general, but yeah, the goals are the crucial one. I mean, just take a look at this. I mean, Waterford 225, 326 Clare, same against Limerick and 319 versus Offaly. I mean, if you said to any of them 4 teams you're going to score that today, they'd have all taken it, like, you know, and like obviously Cork won the majority of the games, but why, I suppose, is the question, right? I mean, you look in here, they've a 1v1 with their centre back inside the 45. Robert Downey, I know he's injured today now, or he's out sick, I think, but like Oisín Kelly, like, that's too easy, like, isn't it? And great save by Patrick Collins, but really and truly should have been a goal. You know, in fairness, Cork are applying a bit of pressure here, but you know, they're slacking off a bit. See Mark Coleman here, he's blocking off one side of the pitch, fine, but the minute that ball goes down the middle, he should be sprinting across. Tim O'Mahony, no clue where his man is, ball watching, and you know, a great bit of skill here. But Mark Coleman reacts too late. It ball into Kelly again in a super goal. But they just weren't tuned in that day. And I know poor Mark Coleman was getting a grill in here, like, but this probably epitomises it for me. You know, he's here 50-50 ball, and he's just toughed off the ball very easily. Offaly win it. Ball broke inside again and goal. Offaly scored 3 goals last week. It's not that they could have scored 5 or 6. They should have scored 5 or 6. And you know, Cork, while they've been very good going forward, if they don't clean up their defence, they're going to be under pressure. The one thing I will say is, isn't it great for Pat Ryan to have experienced that now last week and for the previous few weeks? And I'd say he really went after the backs in Cork for the last week.
We'd be on about getting rid of the prelim quarterfinals, and I'd say Pat was quite happy he had it last week.
Are we expecting Kieran Joyce will sit back, and he was obviously named in midfield, but we're expecting he'll go back
I'd say
6.
with Luke Meade coming in, that's a giveaway, a midfielder, and Joyce, obviously Rolls-Royce was supposed to be the 6. Had a tough game, Joanne, against Waterford, and a really tough one on Mark Rogers in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Then he was injured. Was he a bit injured, maybe playing those games? And Robert Downey did well in general. But he is their natural 6.
And he's coming up against, I suppose, Donald Burke as well, who's, you know, the most threatening forward for Dublin. So it's going to be a tasty duel between the two of those.
And we might actually have a chat about whether or not that'll be the duel, or it'll be elsewhere a little bit later on. But let's talk about the Dubs in particular, because as a manager, what can Micheál have done in the past couple of weeks in order to get them right for today?
Sure, look, I don't know, heads above everything, Joanne, because, and you know, they have a history of this kind of promising so much. And look, some people would, the soft narrative around the place is, you know, they just don't have quite the natural hurling skills of the country lads and all that. And like, this for me is goal of the season. Chris Crummy, Conor Burke, Sean Curry, back to Burke and buried. I mean, if you saw the Cork forwards doing that today, we'd be raving about it. Again here, and like Fergal Whiteley just knows no other way now. Again, he's cut from the team today. Mihalis have taken a bit of a hatchet, but this fella was a revelation all year. The Leinster final went totally awry for him. We'll have a look at that in a minute, because they lost whatever game plan they had. Great goal here, but see here, this is the first play of the game, they have possession. Conor O'Donoghue, centre back. Now the game plan, there's Hayes. Pop to Hayes, let him get his head up, let him run. He's the fastest player in GA, I think, at the moment.
Really?
Might be a few football lads now, and certainly in Ireland, because I've seen him going. But like here, like how can you give Adrian Mullen the ball? Imagine he doesn't have to hit it on the run even. Standing, Mossy Keown's in front of O'Donnell. It's very hard to defend that then, because he's the step on you, and he just stands. I know Owen could have been maybe a bit tighter, but at the same time, you know, that's bread and butter. You cannot allow Adrian Mullen. And look at it. And again, like this was just. Now look, the game is gone at this stage. But Paddy and Sean are not even looking at each other. But Paddy's certainly not looking at Sean anyway. And the puck out still goes out. So for me, they're better hurlers. They're coming to Thurles to play a Munster power. That sometimes can be a bit of an issue for them, and they need somehow to recover. I'd say Crummy and Sutcliffe were crucial in the last fortnight. Donald Burke, Owen O'Donnell, to try and say, come on lads, we have to show we're better than this. Forget about results.
They have to show a bit of aggressiveness too, in a
absolutely.
disciplined manner, because they gave Kilkenny so much time and respect. Cork are the exact same. They're brilliant hurlers, but if you give them space.
And in the round robin, they didn't.
Yeah.
They went to Salt Hill and took it on.
We'll get into more of that. We'll get into matchups as well very, very shortly. But the last time that Dublin and Cork met in the Championship was 3 years ago. And as is still the case, as we were mentioning a little while ago, for Cork, goals were key then. But aside from that, the Rebels, the Dubs, even the world are very different now. A Cork team so full of promise looked to keep their momentum going after qualifier victory over Clare, and they took on the Dublin side.
It's all or nothing now for Cork and Dublin. Bearing down on goal, looking for more, and my ball protects the line.
I know Marty suggested the sun was shining, but those little guys out there, it looks like it's quite grey what they are. It may not look there either, but the Rebels are here in absolute force. They are not giving up the ghost, the Cork lads. Shane, you have an objection to the changes, if that's the correct word, made by Micheál Donoghue in the Dublin team.
Yeah, well, Dara Gray comes in for Paddy Doyle, fine, but he's after whipping the whole full forward line. Fergal Whiteley, Dara Purcell, Ronan Hayes, all gone. Dara Power, Mark Rogan and Paul Crummy are in. One thing I'd say about that, and I was at the Leinster final, behind the goals, had a great few. The full forward line were redundant because Dublin actually didn't hit the ball in. And when they did look up to hit the ball in, all the players were withdrawn. Now, I don't suspect that they just withdrew for their own sake. I'd say that was a tactic or whatever. So to whip all three when no ball was going in, I'm not so sure about it. Will they play a different style today? It was strange to me. And I know we're going to talk about matchups there in a second, but the one big one for me is Sean Brennan versus Patrick Collins. I mean, Patrick Collins from Cork arguably could have got man in a match last week versus Offaly, which is never a good thing if your goal is getting man in a match. Yeah. But more importantly, Sean Brennan in the Leinster final obviously didn't have a great game, not one of his finest hours, and had dropping the ball. If a high ball comes in today, that's obviously going to be in his head, so that's a big one for me.
I'm going to interrupt you there because we had all matchups to talk about, but they're going to throw in. So most me live to Fall Oscoilga, but for us here, let's go over to Michael and Marty.
Thank you very much, Joanne. As we start with Michael Kennedy, the match referee, there blowing the whistle right from the throw in. It's the history here is amazing. Dublin are seeking their first championship win over Cork since the 1927 All-Ireland final, when they won 4-8 to 1-3. The counties have met 9 times in the championship since then, with Cork winning them all. Dublin playing from right to left as we look at it. They need an early score to settle the jangling nerves, but that one has gone to the right and white. Disappointment on this occasion for Donald Burke.
Yeah, Marty, and the 3 Dublin full forward line, the 3 of them replaced before the start, but I see they're all over the place out there. Mark Rogan in the middle of the field. Come back to that. Here's Brian Hayes with a shot.
A shot that is dropping over the crossbar and between the posts and over the bar. Great score from Conor Burke as he put that between the posts and over the bar.
Sorry, Marty, Conor Burke. I'm just looking there. Sean Curry has got into the full forward line. Dara Power out wing forward, Mark Rogan middle of the field. So lots of changes in the Dublin attack.
Dublin getting that early score that I mentioned would settle the nerves a little bit after the performance against Kilkenny. They really need to step up a gear. They have still a chance, obviously, of getting to an All-Ireland semi-final. This one is dropping in a little bit short. Patrick Collins laying it off. Cork, of course, had that game last weekend against Offaly and Tullamore. This is a little bit more like it from Dublin, because in the Leinster final, Dublin really stood off Kilkenny and let them hurl freely. So the instructions are clearly to put the pressure on Cork in their own half-back line. Long ball now, aiming for Patrick Horgan. Skips by on the beautiful surface of Semple Stadium here in Thurles. Making an angle for himself, hitting it over the right shoulder is the one and only Seamus Harnedy. Great score.
Yeah, very good composed defending back there, Marty, as you said. Dublin will have to be way more aggressive, but that was a lovely ball. Seamus Harnedy ran from the far wing into space. I mentioned him in the scene set. He's a key man for Cork. Lovely score.
Puck out is aimed at Dara Power from the Fingalians club. One of the Fingalians, I should say, one of the 4 changes as it comes again to Dublin, going onto the attack here, trying to make an angle for himself and hitting it over his right shoulder, trying to do a Seamus Harnedy. The umpire will bend his back and raise the white flag. Good score by Sean Curry on this occasion. Scoring 1 goal and 5 points on the journey over 5 championship matches.
Yeah, lovely ball in there from Brian Hayes. He could have had a shot, but isolated inside 1-on-1. Good play by Dublin.
Long puck out by Patrick Collins, putting the pressure on the Dublin defence. Chasing after it is Shane Barrett. What a wonderful championship season he's had so far. Jink to the right, hopping the ball on the ground past the 13-metre line. Here comes Patrick Horgan. Great defending by Dublin. Wonderful defending inside their own large rectangle and just outside the small box as well. A defence-splitting move that really had Dublin exposed. Can they counteract now? Dublin forward slipped as he was coming forward, so it's an easy ball for Cork to gather. Good work by Sean O'Donoghue, the captain, delivering it long. Again, it's Shane Barrett given a lot of space and send that over the bar.
Yeah,
his first point. What
a passage of play. Shane Barrett got whipped across there earlier on, went on with it. That's a lovely score by, but it was Owen O'Donnell that came across with a brilliant block on Patrick Horgan. You see Patrick Horgan here, cross comes Owen O'Donnell, brilliant block, great advantage by the ref, great passage of play.
Full marks to Owen O'Donnell, because that was a goal-saving challenge and blocked down by the full-back from Whitehall Cullen-Kills, but he is a superb player.
Well, Shane Barrett has been outstanding over the last 6 weeks for Cork, and he's causing havoc already at centre-half forward.
But they have to be right beside him, hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder. There's acres between himself and his marker.
There is, but there's huge pace in that. The Dublin are gone orthodox. There's no sweeper at the moment, and Cork love that. But that'll make room for them up the other end of the field as well.
Sideline ball going to be taken, cut in by Mark Coleman. Good ball too. Runs on towards Dara Fitzgibbon. He's a man on fire. He scored 17 points in the championship so far. The umpires are satisfied that this is going over the bar for his first in this All-Ireland quarter-final.
Martin, to pick up on your point there, nobody went near him. Like, the ball broke out the wing. Who's marking him? Nobody went near him, closed him down, tried to make it more difficult for him. A simple chance, and he sticks it on.
Puck out from Sean Brennan, again finds Dara Power. The referee is slipping and sliding off camera, by the way. He's back on his feet. Ball up towards the full forward line. That's dramatically changed. Sean Curry is operating at the edge of the square, back outside. Good use of the slither and the hurling. And that's a great score by Dublin. Much better. This time Brian Hayes gets the credit.
Yeah, the tactical playing Sean Curry inside, working very well. He's very quick on his feet, out to that ball, back to Hayes. Hayes gave him one previously for the score. That's another nice score. And I think this open game is suiting Dublin as well as Cork. You know, that they have a full complement of backs at least down the field.
6 minutes gone. Sides level for the third time. 20-20. Luke Mead and Dara Power. Dara Fitzgibbon cutting through the middle, and away he goes again. He's inside the D. 20, 13. Takes the shot, uses the short grip on the hurley, gets his second point of the game. He's all-star material, and it's only quarter-final stage.
Yeah, we're lucky that Brian Hayes is so fast. Look where he came from. There was a goal on it. Look at Hayes coming through here. I think Fitzgibbon caught it 3 times, got away with it, and taps it over the bar.
Sean Brennan looking at his options. Cork forwards push up on the Dublin full back line. He has to go long. Well gathered by Tim O'Mahony. Luke Meade just bounced off his fingertips. Dara Power is working hard, laying it back for Donald Burke. Let's fly. And the ball is dropping in and between the posts and over the bar. Good score. Here's a man who's been scoring freely. 2 goals and 60 points. Remarkable scoring in this championship. That's his first in the quarter-final.
Yeah, it shows you at this level a mistake there. Ball dropped. Dara Power, who's been on a lot of ball here at left half forward. Lovely little pass, and Burke, beautiful strike.
Long puck out again, aimed at Brian Hayes. That worked so well on that historic night in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And Cork beat the All-Ireland champions. Almost copying what Nicky Quaid does with Ger Hegarty. Long ball down to the big man. Cork coming out with it. Luke Meade from the middle of the field hits a ball that is just tailing to the right and wide. That's Cork's first wide in this quarter-final clash. Sean Brennan not hanging about, trying to find a colleague. Straight from the puck out. Sean Curry comes out from the full forward line, dropping it in. Not too sure this is going to pose any problems to Patrick Collins. It's not. It's Dublin's second wide of the game. Declan Dalton played really well in Tullamore a week ago, scoring 4 points. Dublin working their way out of trouble. Brian Hayes and Conor Burke are the 2 players available. Here comes Dara Power again, laying it back, calling for it, looking for it is the one and only Mark Grogan. Grogan's effort easily thwarted, sent down the wing. Nice stick work by the big man, Seamus Harnedy. Cork going for that long ball, aimed at Patrick Horgan again, trying to get inside the Dublin cover, and away he goes. He's inside the D. Owen O'Donnell stops him in his tracks. Whitehall Colm Kells against Glen Rovers, 2 great clubs in the capital city of Dublin and in the capital city of Southside in Cork.
Absolutely, and look, Patrick Horgan, I think, shown all his experience there. First of all, he brought the ball down brilliantly, very quick on his feet, but he leaned in on the tackle. There wasn't a whole lot in it, but you're going to get those sort of collisions, and won the free for himself, and he's tapped this over.
We've had 8 points so far, all of them from play. This, I expect, will be the first point from a free, as Patrick Horgan taps that over.
Yeah, Martin, just generally up to now, I think if Dublin can keep 1 inside, 2 inside, what happened the last time, Sean Curry came way out the field, left nobody inside. He's doing well in there. I think they're enjoying this. There's loads and loads of space. It's not like against Kilkenny, where Kilkenny had extra men all over the place. Dublin are going man for man, and they're making it that bit harder, and they look to be enjoying themselves out there.
Cool as Sean Brennan. Mark Grogan scored the only goal that Dublin registered against Kilkenny in the Leinster final. This ball from the middle of the field, and Dublin shooting is way better this afternoon. That's a really good score.
Yeah, it's Conor Burke again. He's a super player. He's played centre back as well for Dublin, but he's very, very natural, loads of confidence, and straight over the black spot, and a lot of room out there around the middle of the field. That's 3 points from Dublin midfield, and we have 2 from Dara Fitzgibbon already. That's 5 from the middle of the field.
10 points scored in this game. Sides level 5 times each. Cups back for Shane Barrett from outside the Dublin 65, and Sean Brennan is happy to escort that out over the end line and wide. Good puck out from Sean Brennan, gathered by Conor Burke. Just flicking it forward for Donald Burke, but gone back there is Kieran Joyce, operating at centre back in the absence of Robert Downey. Micheál Dunno, an All-Ireland winning manager with his native Galway, now in charge of Dublin. Patrick Collins to Niall O'Leary. Collins is going to go long. Very long. Hayes is underneath it, tries to knock it down. Dublin defenders alert to the possibilities. Ends up with Dara Gray. Advantage being given by the referee. No advantage really developing. It's a free for Dublin, just around their own 45-metre line.
Yeah, that was a hit and hope ball there, you know, by Patrick Collins in on top of the full backline. That Dublin full backline is very solid under that high ball. Bellew, O'Donnell, Paddy Smith, all very strong, and I'm surprised that Cork aren't trying to utilise their pace and spread the ball more. That direct ball in won't work in there, I think.
Conor Burke from St. Vincent's. Great catch. Great block down. Full credit to Niall O'Leary. Comes back out for Sean Curry. He's already scored once. He was backpedaling towards the sideline, but that is a great score by the Na Fianna clubman. Really quality point.
Yeah, great block down there, Niall O'Leary first of all, but that's Sean Curry, and he's one of those players, Martin. We've seen him at the club with Na Fianna. He's loads of pace. He's really on fire in there at the start of the game and creating havoc on the one-on-one balls.
The referee was almost in the way of Declan Dalton, laying it back for Dara Fitzgibbon. The right old tussle going on between Alan Connolly and Owen O'Donnell. Dublin working the ball out again. Chris Crummey, good hand pass. Laying it off as Dara Power continues to impress and work hard. About to be trebly marked. Line ball is going to Dublin. This is going to be taken by Mark Rogan. In fact, there's going to be a change. Conor Burke. Pat Ryan looking for a winning performance from his side today. Little chip in. Laid back. And that is dropping just to the left and wide off the stick of Mark Rogan, having received the pass from Paul Crummey. Referee will want the puck out to be taken again. A little bit too quick for the match official from here in Tipperary. Performed well in his last match. Got the whistle again for this crucial quarter-final game. Sideline ball is going to Dublin.
Yeah, Cork just sloppy in the first 15 minutes, Marty, to me. Just looked to be a little bit devoid of ideas, and you know, that's a couple of balls down right near the sideline with no room to play in.
Dara Gray got the slip first, Conor Burke, but intercepting at speed is Shane Barrett. This is an opportunity for Fitzgibbon to Patrick Horgan, being deprived space to be able to hit the sliotar over the bar, but he eventually created it for himself, and that's his second point of the game, his first in play. Cork, when they do go forward, they just have that buzz around Semple Stadium of creating danger.
Yeah, and look, goals is their game, and that, like Dara Fitzgibbon unusually probably didn't have a shot himself, and Hoggy closed down, but he managed to show his experience again there by swiveling out of the tackle and sticking it over the bar.
But good defending by Dublin. This is better from Dublin defensive-wise from what we saw in the Leinster final against Kilkenny.
They're way more legitimately aggressive. You know, they're not dirty, they're not fouling, but they're right on their men.
Declan Dalton, again the long ball. This time Patrick Horgan comes out to gather. He's out just inside the Dublin 45. He flings it over his right-hand shoulder, and he sends that over for his third point of the match.
Yeah, and that's the leadership I was talking about as well in the scene set. You know, he just moved away from his man. He took a chance there. You're trying to coach that into young lads. You know, take a chance, move into space, hope the ball breaks for you, and makes it look easy.
Sean Brennan's puck outs are really good, finding their man every time. Gets Mark Rogan on this occasion. Down for his Danny Sutcliffe. Along the sideline, having a go, but the umpires are already indicating that it's wide with the outstretched arms. Patrick Collins doesn't hang about. Down for his Declan Dalton. Dalton goes long from the middle of the field, 10 metres, 20 metres in from the sideline, and that is over the bar. Great score.
It is, and it's a puck out that Cork use an awful lot. Dalton is very strong, he's a great striker, but when you're allowed to take that quick puck out, that's why that silly wide from Danny Sutcliffe there. He should have played it inside, kept it in play. Cork will punish all day on that.
Dublin have to work hard to get the puck out. It was a throw ball. This is something that referees, in fact, it looked like he was indicating it was a throw ball. It looks like there was a hand held. That was what he was indicating. But we do need to keep an eye on that throw ball as well, because it does happen frequently.
I'm getting plenty of correspondence about it, Martin, not commenting it, because most of them are throws. We'll be the whole day here talking about the ball being thrown. The referee is down there beside it. There'll be one pulled at some stage, and that'll be it for the game.
Well, this time it was a holding.
That was a holding, yeah, but the ball probably was thrown after that.
You're not giving up, Michael, you're not giving up. Donald Burke hitting this just to the right and wide, and they need a free taker on fire, and he's a superb free taker. But that's two now that I can recall immediately. That's just gone to the wrong side of the post.
Two easy ones on a perfect day for him. Donald not like him.
Knocked away. Batted back. Dara Gray flicked on by Declan Dalton. But Dublin have the situation under control. That's a proper hand pass. Over towards Dara Power. Not too sure about that one, but here we go. Anyway, Conor Burke, he's going for his third point. Looking anxiously after it. It's wide. 6 wides for Dublin in this match so far. But they have scored 6 times. Cork going short. Kieran Joyce back in more familiar territory now at centre-half back. It was Dara Fitzgibbon's partner in Tullamore against Offaly last weekend. Patrick Horgan. Declan Dalton. Shimmy to the left. Flicking it forward in more hope than anything else, but it could still work out all right. Good defending by Paddy Smith. And out over the end line and wide.
Yeah, peculiar game so far. You know, Cork probably had a couple of half-goal chances, but Dublin have missed a few easy chances. You know, they're competing well, but you just feel Cork haven't caught fire yet, and you know, maybe there's a goal in them. If they get a goal, things could change quickly.
Brennan's puck out. 2 Dublin lads get their hurleys clashed. Good work by Danny Sutcliffe. Lays it back past Conor Burke. Delivering it in. Short. Well, long but low, more accurate. Patrick Collins gathers it. That's a good ball. Spotting that Shane Barrett was actually available. He's along the sideline, and that is well wide. Shooting by Cork, just a bit of a disappointment, really, Michael.
Yeah, just the option taken as well. Dara Fitzgibbon have made a great run down the middle there. You know, but on another day he'll stick that over. They're just a little bit off colour at the minute.
Long puck out again by Sean Brennan, batted down, picked up by Declan Dalton, and that is just outside the post again. Cork wides 5, Dublin wide 6. Scoreboard 6 points to 8. Nip and tuck, I have to say, in the opening 19 minutes.
Cork maybe beginning to dominate possession just in the last 3 or 4 minutes. They're winning practically every ball, but they're, as we said, they're just hitting those lazy wides.
Again, Sean Brennan goes long. Nicely picked up by Brian Hayes. Looking around to see who's available. Dara Pares, well within his range, has the talent and has the shooting accuracy as well. Very good score, richly deserved. He's been very impressive in the opening 19.5 minutes.
He certainly has, and Brian Hayes again there with the assist. A lovely ball. He didn't panic when he got possession in the middle of the field, and I think Dublin will be delighted how they're doing. Luke Meade completely out of the game, and both Brian Hayes and Conor Burke very influential.
Long puck out from Patrick Collins. Chasing after it is Shane Barrett, and away he goes on his bike again. Past the 13, uses the short grip and lashes that over the crossbar. Second point of the match. Scored a goal in 4 against Offaly. He's really on fire, this young fella from Blarney.
Well, he actually destroyed Offaly in the first quarter last week. There was a change made. David King went back, did a lot better, but he is a great player. He's really, really prospering this year.
With Cork forwards pushing up on their opposing defenders, it means that Sean Brennan has to go long. Kieran Joyce was fouled there. That's going to be a free for Cork. Good to see Castlemartyr back in action for his county after an injury. Declan Dalton going to take this.
He's a huge striker. This is obviously Patrick Horgan, brilliant free taker, but they have this weapon as well that can go way back the field and take these ones.
Declan Dalton giving it everything. absolutely everything. I'm putting it over the bar. Great score from Declan Dalton from a way out. Conditions are just perfect. When we were on the pitch just before the start of the game, Michael, I mean, it's not often you're in Thurles where there's no wind, no rain, there's nothing. It's just perfect.
It is perfect. You see 17 points, and we've mentioned the wides already in 20 minutes of hurling. It's very, very open and loose, and the Cork generally put up massive scores in these sorts of circumstances. Mark
Coleman's diagonal ball, knocked back by Patrick Horgan. Huggy looking for it. Huggy gets it, but Patrick Horgan miscues on this occasion and sends it wide. 6 wide in the match for Cork. Declan Dalton deemed to have been fouling his opponent. Declan arguing his point with the referee. Doesn't matter a hoot, it's a free for Dublin. It's going to be taken for the middle of the field.
This little flick in the elbow, soft free, but wasn't near the ball. But this is a big one for Donald. Like, Dublin haven't scored a free yet. All their scores from play. So just to settle him, he needs to pop this one over.
As you can see, he's in the middle of the field. He follows through well. And again, it's wide. As this was golf, you'd say he was hooking it. Even the sound of the slither against the boss of the hurley, even up here, doesn't sound right.
No, and it's perfect conditions, Marty. You've mentioned it several times already. It's very unlike Donald Burke.
In comes Shane Barrett. Chris Crummy with him. Sideline ball going to Dublin. James Owens, the linesman from Wexford, at the far side there.
Yeah, I think Cork playing a lot of the hurling very close to that line over there. Like, they're not giving themselves enough room. They need to move their play, their deliveries 10, 15, 20 yards in the field, because we've seen an awful lot of play just going out over the line there.
Cleverly knocking it back to Dara Gray. It's Dara Power. Good control by Conor Burke. He really is leading this Dublin team by example. He scored 3 points against Kilkenny in the Leinster final. He's not even half-time here. There's still 12 minutes to go, and he's done the same in the quarter-final against Cork. 3 in a row.
Yeah, Cork very loose as well, leaving Conor Burke to just pop over a few. He's a very good striker. He'll keep doing that.
Good defending by Dublin. Hand pass is not great. And Cork come forward. Seamus Harnedy. They can't hook him. They can't block him. But he was under pressure, but he sent the ball wide. Tima Manny, I think, off camera was looking for a free, but
yeah,
no solace from the referee.
I'd say the ref didn't see it. There was a third man tackle in there, but the ref's back was turned and bad puck out.
Shane Barrett to Seamus Harnedy. And Sean Brennan punished for one puck out that has gone astray. To be fair to the goalkeeper from Gula, most of them, all of them have been accurate bar that one.
That's it, no, he's been doing very well, but Harnedy back on his favourite left side there. They both had their wides. The 3 frees from Donald Burke really the difference. Dublin should be at least level in this game, but we've only 1 free out of that 19 points so far.
Oh, beautifully caught by Kieran Joyce. Joyce trying to inspire his colleagues for a little bit more effort. There's a pat on the back, but it was his reaction and landing on the ground that signals his determination, saying, come on, lads, we need a bit more effort here.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Just a bit lackadaisical, and you know, you get the impression that, you know, just going through the motions here. And you know, look, Dublin not a huge threat. Sean Curry started off very well inside, but this should be over the bar now from Dalton again.
Declan Dalton with his 3rd point of the match. 2 from frees, 1 from play. And Cork establish a 4-point advantage. Sean Brennan looking around at options. Has to go down the middle. Beautifully caught by Donald Burke. He's held. Advantage being given. Down towards Dara Power. Knocked away. Owen Downey. He's really established himself as first choice full back for Cork. And he's put that over the bar for his first score in the championship. Then Rovers on the north side of Cork City will be celebrating and cheering on right now, and rightly so. 13 points for Cork, 8 points for Dublin.
Yeah, brilliant score, and they're starting to pull away, but the referee gave an advantage there. Really, there was no advantage. He should have pulled it back. The ball was 50-50 in front of the Dublin defender. Lost it. Brilliant score at the other end, but really should have been a free in.
Hawkeye has been called.
Then it's wide.
Then we need to check this out. So they might have to dilute the celebrations in Glen Rovers, which I was anticipating. Just for a moment, let's see what happens here. First time that there's a 5-point advantage, if it is registered as a score. Owen Downey looking on anxiously there.
Yeah, well, most likely it's wide if the referee was called in, you know, because the umpires gave it, so it's more than likely wide.
Is it a thaw or is it a kneel? And that is going to be a kneel. It's outside. It remains a 4-point game.
Justice may be done.
Sean Brennan indicating he's going long. Dara Gray wanted it just outside his own 65-metre line. Breaking ball being picked up an awful lot more by Cork now. Tim O'Mahony using that diagonal ball. Great defending by Dublin. Good work by John Bellew. Scored a point in the Leinster final against Kilkenny. Played well. Picked up by Patrick Horgan. Here comes Declan Dalton. A little bit of space, a little bit of acres of Semple Stadium in front of him. And Dalton scores easily his 4th point of the match. Created by Patrick Horgan. Finished by Declan Dalton.
Yeah, and there was some serious hitting there. You know, John Bellew did very well. He was very brave, but Cork attackers got stuck in, and eventually Patrick Horgan picked out a lovely pass to Dalton. He's having a great game so far.
Brian Hayes, Dublin, under a bit of pressure. Sideline ball for Dublin.
Big few minutes for Dublin now, Marty. And imagine, look, they need a score or two. They haven't scored in a while, and Dublin just beginning to stretch, or Cork beginning to stretch out.
Conor Burke easily stopped his sideline cut by Dara Fitzgibbon. Sent down towards Alan Connolly. Coming in is Conor Donoghue. Shane Barrett putting the pressure on him. Still Conor Donoghue. Good work by the Blarney man. Sent it back, but the linesman has his flag up. James Owen says the Corkman had just gone beyond the wide line, so it's going to be a sideline ball for Dublin. But Conor Donoghue just seemed to be in second gear, and Shane Barrett was coming in 5th and got there almost ahead of him.
He was. Barrett is on fire. Just Alan Connolly, who's been brilliant in Munster Championship. He was quiet last week against Offaly. He was taken off, didn't score. And Brian Hayes, who had scored a good goal early on against Offaly last week, neither of them have touched the ball yet in the first half.
Good sideline cut. Luke Meade getting it back for us. Mark Coleman. Conor Burke. That's the sort of work ethic that Dublin need to produce. There's one man up front. Sean Curry did well. Got there ahead of Sean O'Donoghue, trying to jink inside. Still trying to get through. Danny Sutcliffe, Sean Curry again. Taking 3 Cork players to stop him. Sean O'Donoghue on his own end line. This is much better from Dublin. They're putting the pressure on the Cork backs, because what we saw against Kilkenny, this was all absent. And the sliding Seamus Harnedy acknowledges, I slipped, lads. It's a sideline ball for Dublin. But I'm right, aren't I, Michael, about the pressure that Dublin are pushing on the Cork backs?
No, absolutely, and they look dangerous. Sean Curry on the one-on-one ball, but they're just struggling to win primary possession, as we call it now in modern sport. The last 10 minutes, Cork have dominated possession. And like Dublin haven't scored since the 23rd minute, so that's what that reflects that.
Luke Meade just got a touch. There's Mark Coleman. From where the ball landed, there was a challenge.
There was a pull inside, wasn't it?
Pull inside, I think, on Brian Hayes. There's 2 Brian Hayeses playing today. Brian Hayes Cork, Brian Hayes Dublin. And it's an easy free to concede from a Dublin perspective, particularly when amongst your opponents is a chap called Patrick Horgan.
Yeah, and just the scoreline is just drifting out now in Cork's favour, and you know Dublin need someone to stand up now before half time. They need a score or two and try to stop the rot.
Simple tap over score for Patrick Horgan. Concerning time for Micheál Donoghue now. 14 points to 8. His team are working harder than they did in the Leinster final, but they need scores. Puck out goes straight to Conor Burke, the one shining light in this first half performance, amongst many others, but he's the main one. When you look at the scoreboard, he scored 3 out of those 8 points from midfield. Mark Grogan into the centre. Danny Sutcliffe, and that is just again right and wide.
Yeah, and he slipped as well. I don't know what it is. The pitch is in perfect condition, but we see players slipping quite a bit out there, including the ref as well in the first half.
Declan Dalton's diagonal ball going across to gather it is Clontarf's Paddy Smith. Said hello to Patrick Horgan on his way, but he got away with it. Sean Brennan sending it into the space. That's good ball by the Coola goalkeeper, and well taken by Donald Burke. This looks better, way better. When Donald Burke is on fire, usually Dublin perform. That's the second point of the game. That'll give him a bit of confidence, having missed a number of frees.
Yeah, very good play. Paddy Smith won the ball back there, back to Sean Brennan. A lovely ball into space. And Dublin are getting that space. Cork a little bit loose at the back, but they've missed just too many easy chances, and that's why the gap is there.
Dublin hadn't scored in the last 9 minutes. Declan Dalton over towards Shane Barrett, but the sliotar is left behind, and Dublin come away with it. Hand pass over towards Conor Burke again. Fair hitting going on in the middle of the field as Cork track back. Brian Hayes comes out around the middle of the field to gather the possession, uses the short grip to make sure he's not hooked, and that's over the bar. But the St. Finbarr's man first point in this All-Ireland quarter-final. 1-1 against Offaly, a point here today.
Yeah, and credit to Brian Hayes. I mentioned him a minute ago for not being in the game, but he came out looking for the ball. That's a great sign of a corner forward. Worked back, got out to the middle of the field, won the ball, stuck it over the bar.
Sean Brennan goes long. Brian Hayes, can he keep it in? Yes, he can. Knocks it off Dara Fitzgibbon, who was right beside him. Sideline ball for Dublin.
Yeah, I think Dara Fitzgibbon was happy to knock that over the line. He's respectful, I'd say very respectful of the pace of Brian Hayes. He didn't want to get possession one-on-one out that far out, or in a dangerous position, so he was happy to give away the line ball.
Sean Curry going to take this sideline cut. Father is from New Zealand, mother from Glasnevin. Good player, but this time just sends it left and wide.
Yeah, they kill your momentum, you know. Like, I didn't want to say it before he took it, but you know, just hope to keep that in play, try to force the score.
Patrick Collins going long. Chris Clumming being held surely by Shane Barrett. Free for Dublin. Edging towards the break. A score for Dublin would be a major help. Maybe reduce that Cork lead to just 5 points. Crummy aiming for Donald Burke. Great hands. Back into the centre. This is better from Dublin. Little bit of space opening up. Opportunity arises, and that is planted between the posts and over the bar. Good score by Brian Hayes, his second point. Kilmacud Krogstar receiving the pass from the Nafiona man. North side and south side combination here for a Dublin score.
Yeah, brilliant take by Donald Burke, and that's the one area that Dublin have the edge in the first half, in the middle of the field. Brian Hayes, Conor Burke, 5 can play between them. Dara Fitzgibbon in patches, but Luke Meade hasn't been on the ball at all, and that midfield have kept Dublin in the game.
Declan Dalton out over the sideline. Sliotar went as well. Sideline ball for Dublin.
And there we go again, without the risk of repeating myself, that play right beside the line again there, the puck down the field, should be in 10-15 yards to give them room to break the ball to play hurling in that space. Instead it's gone out over the line time after time.
Just about kept in. Dublin retained the possession. Hand pass not quite connecting. Ball into the space. Easily won back. And Niall O'Leary, who's gone out over the sideline. Pat Ryan not exactly pleased with the linesman or indeed the referee. Verbalising his thoughts.
Well, he was definitely fouled, you know.
Was, yeah. So we agree, Pat Ryan is right.
But the ref is right. It doesn't matter.
Sideline cut going to be taken by Conor Burke.
Refs have a good game. You know, he's relatively inexperienced at this level. Michael Kenny's doing well.
Doing very well. And the referee, as he gets a compliment, blows the half-time whistle. 6 times they've been level. Some fine individual efforts, particularly from Conor Burke, the number 9 that's gone into the dressing room. And also, of course, from Patrick Horgan, wearing number 13 for Cork, who's also scored 4 points. It's an intriguing contest, and certainly we look forward to a second half. Dublin's hopes and dreams still alive, so are Cork were the hot favourites. But at half-time here in Semple Stadium, it is Dublin, 10 points. Cork, 15 points. We'll be right back with Joanne after the break.
Plenty to ponder for both managers at half-time in this All-Ireland quarter-final. Cork are in front, but with plenty of room for improvement. Could, of course, be said for both of these teams. At the break, it is Cork leading by 15 points to 10 for Dublin. A decent spread from both of them. Anthony, as we have a look across the stats here, at one stage during that opening half, Michael said that Cork were going through the motions.
Yeah, it seemed a bit casual, but from Mihald's point of view, they'll be much happier compared to 2 weeks ago, and they're in the game. I think if the frees were converted, you look at 4 on 4, not on 3. That's crucial at this level. Like, it could be going down the tunnel. Conor Burke has had a couple of wides, even though he's been outstanding. 3 brilliant points in play. They'll be an awful lot happier. Cork looked like we thought when they went out to 4 or 5, if a goal came, huge trouble. But the Dublin full back line have been much better.
Joe Canning sat in that very chair, I think, in the studio a few weeks ago, and he was waxing lyrical about Shane Barrett. Not everything that we always see, that his running off the ball, but the entire half-forward line for Cork in this first half, you think, have been key?
Yeah, definitely. They've got 8 points between them, 6 from play, and I think it's their movement, and they're punishing Dublin on their mistakes. We see here at puck out, you know, they're quick to react, and the three guys in the half-forward line are brilliant hurlers. You know, they're well able to strike off both sides. But one thing that's most impressive, I think, is like their ability on the breaking ball. Like Anthony just mentioned about the free taking. Like, look at this for a strike from Declan Dalton. Like, incredible. He's got 2 frees and 2 from play. You know, and that's the difference. You know, Donald Burke, who's probably been good from open play, has missed 3. But as we mentioned, like Shane Barrett, like, he's such a brilliant, you know, hurler, stickman. He's pace, but he's so quick to react on that breaking ball. And look, he just takes on the Dublin defence and pops the ball over at his ease. And I think there's a little bit of confusion on who's picking up Barrett. Is it Crummy? Is it Donoghue? You know, they seem to be switching. But again, Declan Dalton, you know, very forceful going forward, and that's been a huge threat for Cork. You know, they haven't got the goals, but they're doing well in the half-forward line.
One of the reasons why I wonder, do they have the goals? Anthony, or not have the goals. Anthony said before the game that now the spotlight is really on Alan Connolly. He has to deal with that. He also has to deal, though, with being picked up with some of the best in the business. Yeah,
exactly. I know what Dale was saying, that a couple of Dublin wides could have him in the game. I'd argue the point that if Cork took some of these goal chances, they'd be out of sight. But listen, you know, there's no disputing that Owen O'Donnell today is a different man than we saw in the Leinster final, because even that day his body language wasn't great. But I love this piece of defending. He knows Connolly is his man, but he knows he's not the immediate danger, so he goes after it. He keeps on going. A small bit lacklustre maybe from Patrick Horgan, but what a block from Owen O'Donnell there. Really, really good. And like as we said, Connolly has been arguably the main Cork forward this year. You know, be it in the air or be it on the ground, and you know, he's after being bet up a stick by Underland. There's no 2 ways about it, whichever way it comes in. And as I said, he's been really good in the air, but like just been absolutely out-muscled here completely. And like, there's no disputing that he's one of the best full-backs in the game. And I know he'd have probably been as disappointed as much as anyone with his performance the last day. But he's really after rectifying himself today. And only for him, I think Cork could be out of sight. And this is, if you're trying to show textbook defending, you turn around and you show this defending here to any up-and-coming full-back. That is unbelievable defending. And there's very few players that would have got away with. Obviously, Patrick Horgan is one that could.
I think the brilliant point on it, Joanne, before he goes on, is it's knowing when to leave your man.
Yeah.
He left Hoggy there. You know, he left Connolly there and went to Hoggy. He sensed who is the real threat. We've seen it so often this year that lads are sticking with their own man and the goal chances are coming, you know, easier.
And he was one of the men, as Shane pointed out, in the Leinster final who didn't play to his best. The midfield was another section that was so disappointing. Now, you're calling this a midfield triangle.
Yeah, well, look, tactically, Mark Rogan has picked it full forward. I didn't think he'd play it full forward. He's gone one-on-one on Darren Fitzgibbon. He's done a reasonably good job. And especially Hayes is playing now. We see him scoring here. He's got 2, and Conor Burke has got 3. Hayes has started playing at right half forward, but on Mark Coleman, but he's not actually playing there. He's coming out into the middle and giving that option. And they've been quite effective. And if they had scored a bit more of the chances, see Conor here, like he's their best player really. He's their general. I know an awful lot made of Donald, obviously, being the class act up front. But again, Donald comes out here and he's struggled to get into the game, but slowly has done it. Hayes, I think the Cork man just kind of gives up there, says I won't be catching this fella. But sensibly, not much on inside. If I was to be a little bit critical, Shane's point before the game about having that man inside more often. Sean Curry has tried his very best, but he's obviously on a 2-on-1 an awful lot of the time.
You'd miss Cian O'Callaghan in there too, because he's such a potent threat when
that one point that you said there about the Cork man giving up, with Dublin of 10 points got, whether they go on to win today's game or not, they consider themselves as real All-Ireland contenders. Some of the lack of hitting and lack of tackles out there in that first half, they might get away with it today, but they may not the next day if they get through.
OK, given that they did throw in 2 minutes early, we better get straight to a break so that we don't miss any of the second half. We'll have a look at who's been spotted in the crowd in Thurles. What has Derek Ling made of the opening half between Cork and Dublin? Cork leading, of course, by 5 points. Or is it these lads? He's here to watch the banner in action very, very shortly. And the chairman, he's hoping to not be in the news anymore.
No, he's enough.
Clare against Wexford, the second All-Ireland quarter-final coming up at 3:15. Shane, based on what you saw from Cork there in that first half, are you beginning to have doubts about this Cork sort of rising that may be coming?
Well, I'm kind of putting my neck in the block at half-time and presuming they're going to go on and win the game, which I think they will. I thought they were very poor against Offaly last week. I thought they were very lethargic, which is fine. 4 weeks off, Offaly in the back of it, Joe McDonough, etc., right? So you give them that. I thought that they'd be a lot sharper today, to be honest. I thought they'd be a lot more aggressive. I have huge time for Cork, and I think they're a serious side, but they can't have last week's performance, the first half here. I would like to see from Cork in the next 35 minutes for them to push on so that they're going into the All-Ireland semi-final with confidence rather than just limping in.
If you were a Dub, you'd be pretty insulted by hearing that sort of assessment, would you?
Yeah, well, like as in, well, I think it's a fair assessment, to be honest, because I'd agree with Shane. It's that consistency with Cork. You know, they're able to punish a team like Limerick and score 328, but they just sometimes are missing that edge, that ruthless streak that when they should punish a team, they maybe don't kick on. So, like, Dublin are still within it, but like I still reckon Cork are going to come out on top.
I'd love to see the Dubs now having a go. You know, they're 5 points down, throwing a couple of frees, or I'd say to Donald, you'll nail them in the second half, and he probably will. I'd love to see something like a Ronan Hayes coming on, edge of the square, maybe Danny Sutcliffe in beside him, 2-man inside line, holding inside that 13-metre line, and really going for trying to create a couple of goal chances, because they haven't had a goal chance.
How difficult is it? You mentioned Darren Fitzgibbon, he has got a couple of points, but given how influential he can be and given what you were talking about, the Dublin midfield being on top, how difficult is it to kind of keep him quiet for the duration?
Yeah, well, I think Mark Rogan be a defensive guy in his thinking overall anyway, John. That'd be he's a wing back, corner back, full back even. But he'll play that defensive Marky's man job for you.
OK, they're out and ready to go again, so let's head back to Michael and Marty.
Thank you very much, Joanne, and we look forward to the second half with just a few more of the players coming out. Luke Meade and Dara Fitzgibbon, the last two to enter the arena. 5 points between the sides, 6 times level in the first half. We look forward to the next 35 minutes plus and see who's going to make it to this All-Ireland semi-final in 2024. Good work on this occasion by Mark Grogan, laying it over for Conor Burke in the centre. Grogan, who started the move, is the recipient of the pass, chose a little bit too much. Easy block down for Tim O'Mahony to Declan Dalton. Dalton being fouled, and the referee saw no advantage, although he had his arm up for a couple of seconds. It's a free for Cork around their own 65-metre line.
Yeah, Mark Grogan there, you mentioned it, Marty, looked just too slow in possession. He should have moved that ball inside, gave it away, and then just in arms around. That's a foul. Probably frustration from Mark Grogan after giving away the ball, and these are short frees for this man. He is some striker of the ball, and it's a big advantage to be able to let him take those and leave Patrick Horgan inside. He doesn't have to be coming out 80-90 yards and getting back in his mid-30s. This man is normally deadly. Going for his 5th point of the match. Commentator's curse. Yeah. And that's the same side Donald Burke missed the try in the first half. Maybe they've been tricked by the wind a little bit. There is a little bit of wind out there, but it's...
there isn't much now,
no, but there's 4 of them gone wide on the same side.
Yeah, that's true. Puck out from Sean Brennan. Dara Fitzgibbon. Declan Dalton. Seamus Harnedy. Laying it off towards Mark Coleman. Sean Brennan seemed to know what he was doing, controlled it. Oops. Unfortunately, Chris Cummey left it behind and picked up by Luke Meade. He's going for the score, and it's just a little bit inside the post and over the bar. Again, an elementary mistake, easily picked up by Luke Meade, and sending it in and just about curled inside.
Yeah, it was a nice score. Just a game lacking that bit of intensity, Marty. You see there again, you know, balls dropping short and missed first touches. At this level, All-Ireland quarter-final, you wouldn't expect that.
Dublin coming forward now. Pass is a poor one. Easily picked up by Seamus Harnedy. 2 elementary mistakes at the beginning of this second half. Good work, well done. Full marks to Conor Burke again. You always like to see a player, you know, when he didn't lose the ball, but when just working hard, when it kind of the odds might be 60-40 against him, he still is in there.
Yeah, he's a great battler. He scored 3 great points as well, but his work rate is huge. You saw that flick, then he got in the second tackle, the hook, and won the ball back. He's definitely Dublin's man of the match so far.
He's on his own 65-metre line. 6 points between the teams. Didn't have any luck in the first half with frees, and the bad luck continues. Frustrated, no doubt.
Yeah, he's not striking with conviction. You know, he's not following through. He's kind of hoping now. So I don't know what the backup free taker is, but they're surely going to have to be looking at him now.
It's 10 wides for Dublin. Puck out is aimed at Shane Barrett. Tim O'Mahony. Coming out to gather it is Brian Hayes. Good work by Dublin. Conor Donoghue. Donald Burke laying it off. Getting the return pass. Dead straight in front of the post. Outside the Cork 45, and nothing going right for Dublin in this second half, to start the second half.
Yeah, very frustrating both sides. Like Brian Hayes should have been out to that ball, dropped it as well. It's just a lot of mistakes.
Here comes Seamus Harnedy now. Alan Connolly is on the 20-metre line, hovering. No need of his services when you've Patrick Horgan coming out, scoring his 5th point of the game.
Yeah, there's the 2 men with the experience combining. Lovely, simple hurling. Harnedy to Horgan over the bar.
Puck out comes straight to Declan Dalton, and he sends it back. Dublin mistake easily punished. And the breadth, the gap between Cork and Dublin widening now to 8 points. And only 4 minutes gone in the second half.
Yeah, and Declan Dalton been very influential. We saw him on the right half forward position the first half. He's moved over here left half forward, been followed over by Dara Gray, but he's been very influential. 3 from play, 2 good frees as well. Great work by Tim O'Mahony.
Big tall man from Newtown Shandrum in North Cork, primary school teacher in Charleville. He had to work hard to retain the possession and win himself a free, clearly being held back.
This is the tackle in hurling that has come in, this arm around. I don't know why that's just, there was no danger there, just stand them up, you know, use your feet, keep them under pressure, and but every time that seems to be the way. That's the tackling drills they're practicing trend.
Dalton is inside his own 65-metre line, runs away. The body language again said it all off camera. He knew he hit it sweetly, straight over the bar. From 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 points now of a gap. And just 5 minutes into the second half. Clash. Play continues on. Cork player, Dublin player down, injured, as Chris Crummy continues and scores a fine point. Scored 10 points on the journey through the championship. Scored once against Kilkenny. Now he's got one against Cork.
Yeah, good score by Chris Crummy, but if you take Seamus Harnedy, was, if anything, too brave there. He was going backwards. He didn't know who was coming in from the side. That's the type of player he is. I mentioned how influential he is to this Cork team. He is tough as nails and goes for everything in the air. And he's on his, looks to be getting back up. The Dublin player still down. Hopefully it's not too serious.
A bad accidental clash, but both the Cork and the Dublin player down injured. Micheál Donoghue expressing concern now as well. The referee will wait for the medical attention.
Yeah, you would have heard some talk, Marty, about the new rule where, you know, for a minor injury you have to go off for treatment, but for a serious injury the ref is still entitled to stop the game, make sure the players are okay. This is obviously a head injury for the Dublin players, so you have to be just extra careful. So a good application of the rules again by Michael Kennedy.
Roland Hayes going to be introduced shortly. And, medical team ensuring that the two players are okay. Seamus Harnedy is back on his feet, but they're still a little bit worried about the Dublin player. So Harnedy is fine, just back from injury himself. Missed a game against Offaly, one of the changes before this game. All-Star back in 2013 and 2018. Brian Hayes from Roland Hayes, I should say, from Kilmacud Crokes, coming on now for Dublin. And he will normally play at corner forward. Leinster minor back in 2016. So there is obviously great concern as Lee Chin and the Wexford boys have arrived. The second semi-final, which will be on it later on this afternoon. With commentary provided by my colleague Ger Canning and Brendan Cummins.
Yeah, what a year he's having, Lee Chin. He's been absolutely brilliant. He's had a brilliant career, but I think this year he's brought it to another level. He's been outstanding for Wexford.
Lee Chin arriving for the quarter-final. I think I've had to say semi-final. Anyway, Dublin player, thankfully, is able to get back on his feet, Paul Crummy. We wish him well on the recovery as we go back to the action. Breaking ball, picked up by Shane Barrett. Looking around, trying to make an angle, has to come back outside between his own 45 and 65. Lays it back, he hits it well. Tim O'Mahony, but the ball is wide.
You know, Dublin need a good 10 minutes, Marty. They have to try to get themselves back into this game. They might as well go for broke.
Mark Rogan did well to catch the ball. Coming at pace, Cork with Niall O'Leary have the situation under control to Seamus Harnedy, now fully recovered. Sending it up towards Patrick Horgan. Great work by John Bellew. In comes Conor Donoghue, centre half back. Hurley missing. Dublin have the slither, and the free is given to Cork. Micheál Kennedy, the match official, having no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah, I think he picked it off the ground, or did he drop the hurl or both? But we'll watch it here now. Good battle there between Patrick Horgan. In he comes and takes it straight off the ground.
Well spotted by the referee. And this free subsequently going to be taken by Patrick Horgan. Aiming to register Cork's 20th point of the match. Umpires have no doubt.
I just get the impression from Dublin they don't really believe that they can win this game. That's the impression I get from them. They're going through the motions, but Cork are just tipping away. They're only in about second or third gear, and they've 20 points scored after 45 minutes, which is fair going.
Long puck out. Easily gathered by Owen Downey. Knocked away. Comes as far as Conor Burke. Crossfield ball over towards Donald Burke. Hitting a sliotar from way out the field, and nothing is going right for Donald Burke this afternoon. Well wide. That's Dublin's 12th wide of the match.
Yeah, they tend to play a lot of that ball, across the field, and sometimes it works. You get the long-range scores, but they're inside forward line, starved of possession, and they've done very well in there earlier in the game. But they're not getting the ball into Sean Curry at all now.
Pulled on by Shane Barrett, picked up by Fergal Whiteley. Not Fergal Whiteley, I beg your pardon. That is Dara Gray. As Dublin under a little bit of pressure here. Brian Hayes, Patrick Horgan, Seamus Harnedy trying to curl this one in, but it won't curl, I'm afraid. Ball is wide. Cork's 11 wide of the match. Puck out is quickly taken by Sean Brennan, sending it down the wing towards Danny Sutcliffe. This is looking good from a Dublin perspective. Heading towards the 20. About to be stopped in his tracks. He needs to pass away. Gets the pass away. Opportunity for Donald Burke. Can he get inside the Cork cover? He's brought down, and the referee says he took too many steps. It's not a penalty. It's a free out. Let's just watch this again as Donald Burke gathered the sliotar.
Yeah, I think it was good defence. I didn't see any foul. Good ball across by Danny Sutcliffe. Well controlled, but he was closed down, and in fairness, I think was okay.
Patrick Collins with the free down towards Tim O'Mahony. Cork going to have a double substitution in a moment. We obviously feel it needs a bit of sparkle. Rather unusually, Patrick Horgan unable to control the sliotar on this occasion. Coming in for Dublin, by the way, is Paddy Doyle. First change on the Dublin side. And the player that's going off is Dara Gray. Changes on the Cork team coming now. Tommy O'Connell coming on, and looks like Shane Kingston as well.
Yeah, Shane Kingston has been, like Tommy O'Connell was on all during the league. I think Tim O'Sullivan picked up, or Tim O'Mahony picked up a bit of an ankle injury over the other side, but I think he's okay again. But Shane Kingston has been coming on and causing absolute carnage with his pace. And at this stage of the game, watching him coming, he's probably good enough to start for Cork, but he's kind of fallen into that super sub role now.
Jeremy Mellerick is also warming up as Cork try to energise their side while Dublin need a score to get back into this match. A green flag rather than a white flag, as Conor Burke knew the way he was hitting it from a standing position. That was not going to reach its intended target. Substitution for Cork is happening as Tommy O'Connell from Middleton and Shane Kingston from Douglas comes on. As Cork give a run to the bench, Luke Meade, who came on for Robert Downey, really, with Kieran Joyce going to centre back.
Yeah, I think Tommy O'Donnell is going to be very hungry now and eager to make his, his 20 minutes here to make an impression. He was on the team during the league, lost his place, so great chance for him now to make a stake of claim for a place.
Oh, fabulous catch, Conor Donoghue from Aaron's Isle and Finglas. There's an accidental knock afterwards. The referee is allowing the advantage, and away goes Brian Hayes, trying to get by Kieran Joyce. So shall not pass is Joyce's rule of thumb. Coming in is Sean Curry. This time Curry is unequivocally fouled by Sean O'Donoghue, and that's going to be a free in for Dublin.
Yeah, he's been the one Dublin forward really use his pace, take on players. He was definitely fouled there. I think he's going to take the free as well. Or is he giving it back to Donald? The linesman, James Owen, trying to bring him up. Yeah, look, there was an accidental slash by Declan Dalton. In fairness, the Dublin player got back up, but the ref has gone back and given a yellow. And Sean Curry is going to take over the freeze.
And Declan Dalton also, to be fair to him, went back and made sure the player was okay. So Sean Curry going to take this. Scored 2 points in the first half, and when he was in around the full forward line, seemed to be asking serious questions of the Cork defence. He's taken over the free-taking duties, which I think is the right call from Micheál O'Donoghue. And it's now 20 points to 12, and that is the first score for Dublin in 10 minutes. At this level, that's a long time. Patrick Collins goes long, and the Dublin fielding is really impressive. That's Owen O'Donnell. Down towards Danny Sutcliffe. Showing a little bit too much and came out the worst of it. He won himself a free. And Declan Dalton, who's just been on a yellow card, would be better off not getting entangled here.
Yeah, he would be.
This was Danny Sutcliffe trying a little bit of trickery which didn't come on. And then Dalton had a clash with Dara Power. It ends up with a free for Dublin, and Sean Curry is going to take it.
Yeah, an important one now. Dublin have they've calmed the thing down. There's been a couple of stoppages. They slowed the pace of the game down. And pop this over, they're back to 7.
Referee now having a word. Looks like with Tim O'Mahony.
Yeah,
it is with Tim.
2 of them, I think, are going to get it.
Yellow card for both of them, for Tim and indeed for Dara Power. Meanwhile, Sean Curry stands over the slither. It's an important free for the Blues, and he gets his 4th point of the match. 8 points, 7 points now between the two teams.
Yeah, and 4 frees, missed. Donald Burke didn't mean to miss them, but they were missed. And normally at this level, you don't miss them. They weren't that difficult. Be a lot closer game.
Collins goes short to this occasion. Now is Niall O'Leary. Gets the ball away. Dublin defender comes charging out. Good work by Paddy Doyle. Anticipated what was happening. I know they've conceded a sideline ball, but still good work by the number 7. Declan Dalton looking around to see if anybody was immediately available. There's nobody.
Owen O'Donnell has had a powerful game, and Alan Connolly, Alan Kieran Burke, the Offaly fullback, had a brilliant game on him as well last week. But Alan, he'd been so brilliant in the previous rounds.
That's a great sideline cut. Just went out over the end line and wide, but he really connected beautifully with it.
Yeah, I was just saying about Alan Connolly, he was brilliant against Tip, he was brilliant against Limerick, and he's just going through a quiet patch, and they'd love to see him, I think, sparkling into life. I'd expect to be left on and given every chance.
Diarmuid O'Dooling is on for Dublin. Grandson of great broadcaster Donnacha O'Dooling. Highways and byways. Lovely man. Proud Corkman. He'd be so proud to see his grandson playing for Dublin. Ball into the centre. Mark Colban. Picked up an injury there. Hobbling towards the sideline. As Cork go back in the attack towards Declan Dalton. Paddy Doyle with him. He's all over him. He's fouling him. It's a free in for Cork. By no means are Cork firing on all cylinders, Mark.
No, they're not, and they had a nice lead there. The game has been very stop-start in the second half. It's just as if Cork know that they have enough in the tank, and I'd have to say for an All-Ireland quarter-final knockout game, it's lacking any bit of intensity. It's disappointing, really.
Very disappointing. 10 minutes since Cork scored. Patrick Horgan changes that particular statistic with his 7th point of the game. No matter where you are, I hope you're enjoying the match. I know that Colm Hatchell is watching us in San Diego. Rory Hatchell, his brother, is watching us in Singapore. His father's a photographer here at the match, and of course the O'Dwyer family from Castletroy and Limerick are watching the game in Austin, Texas, as Dublin, and it's that man again, Conor Burke, is sending that over the bar. Great score, his 4th point of the match.
Yeah, and he caught that puck out. He was very, very brave. A very strong challenge came in from behind. He kept going and back on the end of it again. He has been outstanding for Dublin here today.
Seven points between the teams. Boot repair is now required. As we watch and wait for that to happen. The puck out meanwhile is taken. Runs on towards Alan Connolly, getting his first real opportunity. Taken down between the 13 and 20 metre line as he was heading towards goal, with only one thing on the Blackrock man's mind, because that's the way he plays. The back of the net is the normal.
That's the one he's looking. He's arguing here in on goal, you know, but there was covering defenders. He's kind of said to the ref, I was in on the goal, black card, but I don't think so in that instance. But look how quick he is to pick up the breaking ball. There's the foul pulled down, but there was covering defenders.
Patrick Horgan with the simplest of tasks to raise another white flag. Cork 22 points, Dublin 14. Puck out gathered by Brian Hayes. Sent down the line, Dara Power. And that is going across the face of the goals and wide. And Dublin's wide tally has now gone to 14.
Yeah, look, they're going to look back on this and say this should be an awful lot closer. You know, they created lovely chances like that, just not taking them, and Cork taking their chances that bit easier.
Shane Barrett in the centre, looking for it is Tommy O'Connell. He's taken down in the eyes of the referee. Dublin protests, but I've yet to see a referee change his mind. As Tommy O'Connell came through here.
Just a tangle in the legs, that's all. It's accidental, but it is a free.
Soft enough.
Soft enough, yeah, but
this is just shooting practice for Patrick Horgan at this stage, particularly dead straight in front of the post. This is heading for Cork's 23rd point of the game. As our camera looks down from the line and end here in Thurles. The clock is ticking towards that 70th minute. And Dublin, have they got anything in the engine? Some bit of magic to get themselves back into this match. Sideline ball for Dublin.
I'm just looking at Patrick Horgan. He's 9 scored. I think he was 10 behind TJ Reid this morning in the all-time list. So he needs maybe one more, so he could pass him today. I'm sure that he went for a goal very early against Offaly last week from a 21-yard free, and I said to myself, he's thinking of the record now. So there we go.
Ball is kept in. Here's an opportunity for Dublin. Can they get inside the Cork cover? Still there, Danny Sutcliffe. Picked up by Dara Fitzgibbon. Comes out with it, lashes it high. Out over towards the stand. Shane Barrett trying to gather it. Good work again by Conor Donoghue. Continues to impress. Laying the ball inside, and the umpires will be satisfied enough to give this a point off the stick of Chris Crummy, his second of the game.
The Dublin have played well individually, Marty, and they're going to look back on this. They're 8 points down. The wides they've had, the frees they've missed. It's been that type of a game. It's been a bit lacklustre, but they should be much closer on the scoreboard. But Cork are just keeping ahead of them.
Jerry Mellerick is on. As Cork make the change with Dara Fitzgibbon, the player that's making way. Shane Kingston. Shane Barrett right beside him. Away goes Kingston again. Bearing down on goal. Trying to get it across. Taking too many steps. And that is a free out for Dublin. Temper is becoming frayed as the sliotar is being held by the Cork players, and Sean Brennan is verbalising his opinion to Patrick Horgan. This is the run again. As Shane Kingston bore down on Dublin goalposts.
I think that was very marginal. You know, he had 4 or 5 steps taken, but there's a tug on his jersey. The ball was over to Patrick Horgan. I think Dublin lucky enough there.
Sean Brennan going to take this. Great catch. Hurley gone. Dara Power laying it over towards Sean Curry, and that's Curry's 5th point of the game. He really has played well all the way through. Yeah, Dublin stay in touch.
Sorry, Marty, great catch there. Danny Sutcliffe has this trick of changing his hand. He changes from right to left, he catches with his right hand, and brilliant catch there out to Dara Power onto Curry. Nice goal.
Brian Hayes has done his bit for his county today. Robbie O'Flynn replacing him with just over 10 minutes to go. Shane Barrett has a wonderful engine, laying it off. Opportunity indeed for the aforementioned Robbie O'Flynn. Is Harley on, and he puts it over the bar. Great score by Robbie O'Flynn.
Yeah, lovely first touch for Shane Barrett, and just did the simple thing again. Cork just doing that, making it look that little bit easier.
Declan Dalton, Kieran Joyce, Dublin win the possession back. Here comes Brian Hayes, 1 against 1. Trying to knock it forward, knock it back. Donald Burke getting there, just about. 3 players around him. Dublin really having to work hard for possession. Great defending by Cork. Ger Mellerick is in there, so too is Niall O'Leary. Tim O'Mahony gathering at his own Downey. Backfire is Sean O'Donoghue. Cork relieve the pressure. Robbie O'Flynn battling this time with Paddy Smith, but Dublin have the sliotar. And Chris Crummy sends this in very high and over the bar, his 3rd point of the game. A glimmer of hope is still there, just about.
No, it is, Martin. Chris Crummy has been much more influential in the second half. Got a couple of good points. Good hard defending there again by Paddy Smith. Up close and personal, the way you have to be as a cornerback. Broke the ball back, and Dublin get the next score or two to right in this game.
Puck out was a long one again. Well gathered by Robbie O'Flynn. It's his 2nd touch, and that is over the bar. Now there's a man that's out to impress his manager, Pat Ryan. 2 touches, 2 points. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player. Again, a brilliant take there. He's been dogged with very unfortunate injuries. He's a brilliant player, brilliant athlete, and great to see him back again today.
Dublin have the sliotar. Good work by Owen O'Donnell. Coming through the middle. Still Owen O'Donnell. Stopped in his tracks, chopped down, says the referee. By Kieran Joyce. Free for Dublin, more or less dead straight in front of the posts. Fergal Whiteley now being introduced for Brian Hayes. But a great run here by Owen O'Donnell. Surging through the middle.
Yeah, we saw the chop coming in there from Mark Coleman. O'Donnell's a super player on his day, and often strikes me as a player that might prefer to be playing further up the field, and I think Dublin have moved him out now from the full back line to get him more involved.
So Fergal Whiteley from Kilmacud Crooks is on. Sean Curry raises another white flag, his 6th of the afternoon. Hindsight is a great gift, but he probably should have been taking the freeze earlier when Donald was just having a bad day in the office.
Having a bad day, he missed 4. I suppose you give him a couple, but maybe after the 3rd one, yeah, maybe one before that. But Cork themselves depended on a good few frees in the second half.
Ger Mellerick, Sean Curry. Sorry, Michael. No, they were coming through. Owen O'Donnell. O'Donnell powering through again, having a shot, and sending this screeching past the goalpost and wide. But it's his passion, it's his surging runs, asking serious questions of Cork.
Well, Cork are just going through the motions here. If Dublin were to get a goal here, you know, there'd be serious pressure on Cork in the last few minutes. They're just not putting them away.
Sean O'Donoghue floats it in towards Alan Connolly. John Bellew from Lucan Sarsfields is there. Alan Connolly doing well. Whose hand has the slit them now? It's Alan Connolly coming in along the end line. But Dublin have the possession and they go long. Tim O'Mahony underneath it. Gathered by Kieran Joyce. Free for the Castlemartyr boy.
The Dublin full back line are absolutely glued to the Cork full forward line all day. Patrick Horgan has got 3 from play. Alan Connolly has found a quick free taken out to Connolly.
Alan Connolly trying to make an angle for himself. Gone inside. Referee says that the Blackrock star was being taken down as he was running forward. So it's a soft free again that Dublin concede. Push in the back and a yellow card. That's for Paddy Smith from Duntar. So once again, Patrick Horgan has the opportunity to go into double figures and score his 10th point of the match. Mission accomplished.
That's probably the second one now in the second half. Cork could be saying cynical play, black card, penalty, but again there was a covering Dublin defender. It has to be a clear goal scoring chance.
Ball runs on kindly. Danny Sutcliffe taken down by Owen Downey.
The last one was yellow card, this will be a yellow card. Same type of foul.
Yeah, should be a yellow card as well.
It is.
Yeah. Yellow for the Glen Rovers man. Once again, Sean Curry will try and bridge the gap between Dublin and Cork. Never in any doubt.
You mentioned Marty, he's been very assured on the frees. Probably hasn't taken them at county level, maybe when Donald Burke was out, but Conor Lehane now.
Conor Lehane coming out for Cork. He's missed so many opportunities from frees, Michael. I mean, in fairness to Dublin, they probably should be a lot closer.
But they should be, and some of their chances from play, like Cork have had their share of wides, they've 12, I think, to 15, so like there's not that much in it, but it just feels that some of the Dublin wides were a lot easier. Great take.
Very good take by Paddy Doyle. In towards Conor Burke. Shooting from out the middle of the field, and that's over the bar. Good score. Paddy Doyle making an impression. Didn't start this All-Ireland quarter-final, although he was named during the week, but he's now back. Yeah. And showing Micheál Dunahu that he possibly should have started.
Well, I was going to say that. You know, he's made a big difference since he came on. Declan Dalton and Shane Barrett were all over Dublin in the first half, but they've been very quiet in the second half. Crummy and particularly Doyle really coming to the fore.
Ball bobbling. Eventually, it's Dara Power again. Close encounters of the hurling kind. And Dara Power seems to relish the challenge.
He does. He's one tough boy. He's in the middle of everything. He's had a very, very good game.
Minute and a half to go. 6 points between the teams. And Dublin playing a lot better now. Ball dropping in. Here's an opportunity. Here comes a shot. Well wide.
Ronan Hayes, what a chance. It has to be on target. He covered it, came around lovely. Had to be low, test the goalie.
Tim O'Mahony goes long. Very long. Opportunity coming now. Oh, brilliant save! Sean Brennan. Outstanding. And Dublin might be coming late in the game, but surely they might be just inspired by that. The cooler man was just fantastic. Goal written all over it. Dublin go back in the attack, dropping it in. Good defending. Great defending. Glen Rovers man, St. Nicholas. They play football in Blackpool as well, I can assure you. Here comes Shane Kingston, going for a score from way out, and it's going to tail to the right and wide.
What a save.
This was some save.
Declan Dalton, sorry, Marty. He's a rocket. Look into the top corner. What athleticism, an unbelievable save.
What Owen Murphy did against Clare in the semi-final last year, Sean Brennan has done in a quarter-final a year later. And away comes Chris Cumming. He's already scored twice. Going straight into the challenge. Opportunity coming now for Dublin. Saved by Patrick Collins. And the referee has blown his whistle. He's given a free to Dublin. And the atmosphere has become a little bit more noisy here. Great save by Collins, it must be said as well. Got down well. But the referee was already with his arm outstretched.
Yeah, he played the advantage, might have done a little bit long, but what a save, and how quick he got back on his feet as well, Patrick Collins. We needed this earlier on, Marty, this bit of intensity.
Donald Burke, happy enough to take the score from a free dead straight in front of the post. His third of the match. Just 5 points between the teams, 4 minutes to go. 11 points Cork have scored in this second half. 11 points Dublin have scored as well. They've registered Dublin 16 wides to Cork's 13. And as we've said throughout the commentary, some of the Dublin misses were really bad misses, if you know what I mean. Here comes Chris Cumming, laying it over towards Paddy Doyle, who's made an impression. Dublin playing really well now, and Sean Curry just left it behind him. Tim O'Mahony, Sean Curry responds. Curry without a hurley. And Jared Mellerick comes in, stepping away from the challenge. He too loses the slither as Dublin and Cork exchange great physical presence there. The hooking and the blocking. Here comes Paddy Doyle from Naomh Barrow. Looking around, can Dublin get something out of this? Ball into the centre. Opportunity coming its way for Dublin. They have to get inside and try and get a goal now. Past the 20-metre line. There's a free in, dead straight in front of the post. Another great run, and Dublin playing way better. Dermot O'Dooling from the Commercials Club did so well here.
He did brilliantly, but a brilliant passage of play. Some great blocking down, intensity, and pull back there again from Mark Coleman. Another free in. Will they tap it over again? They probably will. There's still 2 minutes to go. Interesting, Donald Burke has come back. He's looking to the sideline.
I think the indication from the sideline is to go for the goal. Let's see what Donald Burke is going to do. He's sending it low. Stopped on the line. Out comes Sean O'Donoghue. Got a clear instruction from Micheál O'Donoghue and the backroom team to go for it. Ball is sent back down, but Dublin should have the ball here to get the hurley to it. One hurley is flying. Cork find themselves under pressure. It's Conor Burke dropping it in. Up they go. Possession now crucial. Jared Mellerick is there, pulls in the ball first time. Ball bounces all over the place. Chasing after it is Ronan Hayes. With him is Sean O'Donoghue. Coming out with it. Physical presence of O'Donoghue. Giving it to Tim O'Mahony. Big man. Challenged on this occasion by Darragh Power. This is more like it. This is what we were expecting. Kieran Joyce going long, but Dublin have to slither again. The momentum, the pendulum of power has switched from the southern capital to the main capital. Dublin chasing after this, gathering it as Donald Burke did well to, in the high dropping ball to gather it. Denny Sutcliffe, goal surely on his mind, tries to get by the initial challenge provided by Owen Downey into the centre. Ball coming in, Patrick Collins underneath, and the referee again has blown his whistle and given a free to Dublin. He was allowing the advantage, none was developing, and that is an opportunity for Dublin.
They should have taken their free the last time, put it over. They were back to 4. This one is back to 3. You have to keep chipping away because you need more than one goal. Now here's the instruction again. It's probably too late now. They probably have to go for it, but I think the last free was crucial to put it over.
This one is far more difficult in terms of a goal-scoring opportunity. Looking for the sideline, the instruction.
And Marty, you said it. Where was that intensity for the whole game? Both teams were just going through the motions.
They're going short. Opportunity comes. And the referee out there was watching the ball and watching that there's a bit of a row after developing inside on the goal line, and the referee Michael Kennedy is blowing his whistle, and there's a lot of pulling and dragging there. This game was played in a very sporting manner for 74 minutes almost, but obviously something happened in the square, and Cork and Dublin got heavily involved here, and they're still at it, pushing and shoving. The referee Michael Kennedy.
It seems to be Danny Sutcliffe that was in the middle of it. There's Mark Coleman pushing away.
Danny Sutcliffe, if the umpire saw that, that is unequivocally a straight red.
Yeah, well, they had to see. He was standing right there looking at it through the net. You watch it here, touch back. There's a bit of an arm here now from Sutcliffe first, and then the second one was a flick and a hurl. Isn't bothered.
That's not acceptable at all. Referee, having consulted with his umpires, now wants to have a serious word with Danny Sutcliffe. Mark Coleman with him as well. Yellow. Danny Sutcliffe lucky there.
The rule is very straightforward. Striker attempting to strike. It's a red card. Referee bottled it.
Ball comes back out. Here's the shot coming in. There's an opportunity again. Good work by Timmer Manning. Backs ball all the way. One-handed. Lets it fly. Down towards the left half back. Paddy Doyle's gone out over the sideline. He's playing the game outside the white line even. Passions have been aroused. And referee has blown the full-time whistle. But in so many ways, it's a pity Dublin didn't play like that. Not instead of the last 8-9 minutes, because they really put Cork, who were hot favourites for this match, under an awful lot of pressure.
They did, and you have to give Dublin a lot of credit, first of all. You know, they, like a lot of Dublin's or Cork's key players were held very quiet today. Dara Fitzgibbon was taken off. Seamus Harnedy, I know he got a bit of a knock, was taken off. Alan Connolly didn't score. Brian Hayes taken off. Like, Dublin played really well. They're very aggressive at the back, tackled well. Cork had their wides, but Dublin, some of Dublin's wides, particularly the few frees we mentioned before, they should have been a lot closer. It lacked intensity. The last 5 minutes was very exciting, and Cork are just going to be very relieved to get out of here with the win.
Full-time score here in Semple Stadium, Thurles. Dublin 21 points, Cork 26 points. Cork go through to the All-Ireland semi-final.
They do, Marty and Michael, thank you very much for that, but you do wonder, Shane, how worried might Pat Ryan be after that?
Well, listen, he's in an All-Ireland semi-final, so I'm not going to say he's worried, but I don't think he'd be too happy with the performance. At one stage there in the second half, it was 20 points to 11, and we were saying, you know, Cork could rack up well over 30 points here, but the last quarter, 10-15 minutes, they were really poor. I know Michael said there that Dublin were very good, but I don't know, it was a mix of a bit of both, and that's not like, you know, Dublin did play much better, but it was very open, free flow, and at times Cork did show a bit of aggression, but you know, going into the All-Ireland semi-final now against obviously Limerick, and they'll want to get revenge on what happened down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh earlier on in the summer.
Ursula, when we get to man of the match, it's often a contentious issue, especially when you choose a player on the team that didn't win, but you're all in agreement.
Yeah, I think so. Overall, we just felt that Conor Burke at midfield, 4 points from play. He led the charge throughout. He was the best player on the pitch today, and right up until the very end, he was getting the hooks, blocks in, and his work rate was brilliant. So we think he's fully deserving of it. He
is fully deserving of it, but it's going to be a tough interview for him now. Man of the match, Conor Burke, is with Ger Canning.
And the Ayr man of the match is with us here. To present the award is Katrina Donegan from Ayr. If he'd like to present it to Conor. Conor, that was a very difficult match to lose. How do you feel?
Yeah, look, we're obviously disappointed to not come out the right side of it. I think tough to look back on it now straight away, but at a first thought, I think probably our efficiency let us down. I think we had a couple of missed frees, a lot of wides. I think we probably played the game the way we wanted to on our terms a lot, but probably just that final, in that final third, let ourselves down.
You had a terrific match, 4 points from open play. I think 3 of those coming in the first half when it was a real battle.
Yeah, look, I think the way we wanted to play was really to implement our running game, and I think obviously I just got on the end of some of the plays, but it starts right from the full back line and the commitment to go as one together, and look, anybody could be on the end of them at the end of a move.
Cork opened up a gap of about 5 points in the second quarter of the match. They maintained it for most of the game. Mind you, it was very edgy for them at the end.
Yeah, like we stayed going. I think obviously we kept pushing. Hopefully in the view with obviously getting a score, a late goal or something like that. But again, it's probably earlier on in the game was probably where we let ourselves down to let that gap open. In terms of turnovers, wides, that type of thing. So it was obviously that's where the win and losing was.
It's a season where Dublin produced quite a lot, but in the end, just falling short at the quarter-final stage yet again.
Yeah. Look, obviously you're disappointed with that, and hugely disappointed with the Leinster final showing. So obviously, look, no silverware this year, but hopefully some building blocks for next year, and we'll get back on the saddle then in November and really push on and hopefully build on this year, because I think it has been a stepping stone despite how we finished.
Conor, thanks for your time. Well done today.
Cheers, thank you.
Such a good interview for Conor Burt to give, given that he must be so disappointed after you can see their 26 points for Cork to 21 as well. He said in that it's earlier on in the game where the damage was done, or where we let ourselves down, I think was the phrase he used.
Yeah, he did. His stats are incredible. 25 possessions and 4 from play. As Ursula said, he was the best player in the field, and we're always tempted to give it to the team to win by 5 points, and we're not, I suppose we had Shane Barrett, Decky Dalton, Owen Downey in around the area, but overall I thought Conor was best. I think they'll be more sick with the period after half-time. The wides ahead after half-time, the frees continued to be in melees. He'd a couple himself, and they missed a couple of easy ones that they worked really well. And I think, look, Pat Ryan is the one that has to look at the video quickly to get ready for 2 weeks' time. But I think when Micheál looks back in that video, he'd have said, we could have won this game, But it's Cork that need to really assess and must improve a whole pile, I would say.
Especially when you say they could have won the game. We saw at the end that there were chances, goal-mouth chances either end, and of course in a moment we will also look at what else there was at the very end of that match, which could have been a red card, perhaps should have been.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to push on them in a game, I think Cork would much prefer if this was their period and they were pushing on. And again, some of these goal chances, I know when you look back, you'd see Dublin 21 points and Cork didn't concede any goals, but there was plenty of opportunities. I spoke with Sean Brennan before the game, and he was kind of under pressure, down in confidence coming into today. Super save, and again Patrick Collins here. So both keepers pulling off great saves, but it's just probably disappointing from Cork that they were under massive pressure coming in at this late stage. And obviously, a bit of a melee here. Mark Coleman pushing and shoving. Danny Sutcliffe swipes back at Hurley. Did he connect or didn't he connect with the head? It's hard to see. Either way, it's probably something that you shouldn't be doing, and you're under risk of getting the red card.
Well, should he be given a red card?
Well, if you're going to strike someone with the Hurley, whether you connect or not, it is a red card, isn't it? And obviously the umpires, Michael Kennedy might have seen it, but whatever the umpires saw, so going by the rules of the game, yes, it should have been a red card.
Just to mark one other thing, Patrick Horgan, who for some reason, particularly by Cork fans, tends to be written off time and time again. He keeps on coming up. He does the business. He has now equalled TJ Reid for the all-time scorer in championship hurling. There was a very interesting bit with Jackie Tyrrell on the RT podcast this week when he was asked, would TJ really be paying attention to that? Ursula, he said, TJ wants to be the best at absolutely everything. He'll be keeping an eye on it.
100%, and I'm sure TJ is at home ready for that All-Ireland semi-final and practicing these frees and everything else. But isn't it fantastic that we've got two players still at their prime at 35, 36 years of age, and I think they defy all the odds. And what a brilliant player Horgan is, because he's just gifted. Give him half an inch, he's just still contributing so much for Cork, and he's a fantastic player, and he'll be going into that semi-final as well, trying to get one over on TJ. But it's immense that we've two players still at their top of their game, really.
I was just saying Thursday there, as the game is coming to a close, whichever one of these two players finish up second at the end of the year, and there's only going to be a couple of points in it, surely they're saying I have to come back again next year, because people, I don't care what, Patrick Horgan and TJ Reid will both tell everybody in the media, I don't care about this. They do care about it. So for whoever finishes second, if they had intentions of hanging up the boots, it's going to draw them back in again.
Good news for Pat Ryan and Derek Ling, I'd say, because the way they've hurled all year and the influence they've had on games, I'd like them back for next year. I don't care what age they are.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So what we do know is that Cork have booked their semi-final spot in the All-Ireland, and up next it's a turn of Clare and Wexford, a quarter-final meeting that has produced plenty of drama here 2 years ago.
Jack O'Connor! They're dangerously in there, and anything could happen, and does! Leach in, 2 goals.
Concern for Brian Lohan here. It's getting tense, it's getting edgy. It's not over by any means. That's lobbed in, it's dropped on the line. How did it stay out? It's got in! It's got in! And now there's a buzz about Clare and about their fans ringing right around Semple Stadium, and they will be in the All-Ireland semi-final.
Wow. Please, I am half the hag you are.
Oh, come on, don't fight. Girls, you're both tremendous hags.